Hello and welcome to Live from America podcast. This is Hatem. Alongside me, my good friend Noam Dworman, the owner of the legendary comedy cellar podcaster, and good friends. Hi, Noam.
Hello, hello, hello.
And special guest today. I've been looking forward to have her on the podcast for a while. She's super busy. Um, Dr. Danieli. Yael Danieli is a clinical psychologist, uh, traum-
Psychologist.
traumatologist, victimologist, and psychohistorian. And she's the founder and executive senior and representative of the United Nations of the International Center of Multi-Generation Legacy Trauma. And she's a director, group project for the Holocaust survival and their children. And she's here. Welcome.
Welcome.
You. Thank
I've,
you.
I've,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, no, of course. I've been following your work. I'm signed up to the to your one of your work, the webinars that you always do. Uh,
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and I unfortunately wasn't able to attend, but there's few like we were talking a little bit before the show. We live in a crazy world now, and the two things that you can do is either come and watch comedy, or talk to somebody like you. So, but there's this webinar that was I think a couple of weeks ago about Torn, New York City after October 7th, and also dealing with all this stuff. So I feel like it's great to talk to an expert. But tell us a little bit about you. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Israel and I came here to earn my doctorate at NYU in clinical psychology at NYU.
You have a Italian last name, no?
Well, actually, the Italians took it from what you call the Old Testament and we just call the Bible. And
You don't want to know what I call it, but
The
yeah.
name Yael is a biblical name, and Daniel is also a biblical name. And when you add I to it in Hebrew, it makes it a second name
Uh,
rather
By the
than
way,
a
it,
first name, you see. And I don't know where the Italians got it from, but must have been from the same Bible.
just to not to get sidetracked, but I learned something. This is very interesting. I don't know if Yael knows that Hatikva, the Israeli Jewish national anthem, is taken from an Italian melody. Did you know that?
It's actually a Slavic melody.
Oh, I only know what I read on. I only know what I read on Wikipedia, but there was a link to the actual piece, and I looked it up by an Italian composer, which maybe took it from the Slavic. I don't know how far back, but it's not actually originally a Jewish melody, which I think is a beautiful thing, actually. That it's
Well, it reflects the history of the Jewish people.
That's right. Yeah.
It was born in the diaspora, and but of course the Hebrew that the Jewish people went back to in Israel
Yeah.
uh, is the language of the language, and the most important part is hope. Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
So go ahead, Hatem. I'm
When
sorry.
you see no, that's actually a good point. When you see what what the world is going through and all this, and this is especially like this is your specialty, dealing with trauma, dealing with victims, dealing with all this, and you see all this time because somebody like this show or me and Noam, like, we come from, obviously two different, background, but we managed to stay friends and understand the pain. Like if something happened to people I care about, he's very upset, vice versa. Why is the world is not like that? Why people
Mhm.
still take sides and take teams regardless if somebody did something good or bad?
Well, I think the best people in many disciplines, be it ethics, be it history, be it religion, be it psychology, be it sociology, be it anthropology, we are all sort of tearing our hair and say, what is it about humanity that makes us continuously divide, both down in terms of master-slave relationship and power, abuse of power, and horizontally, divide, 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 and fight, divide and fight. Uh, Many theories have many explanations. The tragedy that we live through today is that no matter what theory we came up with, we're all shocked
Yeah. So
at how much, despite our learning, despite the culture we've built, despite all of the progress we have made, uh, human beings seem the same. They fight each other. They they humiliate each other. You can look around the world. It's we kill each other.
yeah, I feel like
Yes, we have a much better healing capacity. Medicine is much better, and much better technologies. Uh, Even though we are worried about those too, also that they will take power over us.
yeah. I mean,
But despite all of our progress, uh, it seems human nature is not changing in the sense of uh, in the sense of the imbalance between what Freud called, Eros and Thanatos, right? Love and aggression.
I always think of the
I would agree. I was going to say I agree with that. That no matter what progress we might hope to make, every child is born with a blank slate of the human nature, which doesn't change. You're shaking your head. No, you want to stop me there?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
The child is not born. One of the things we've shown in the field of multi-generational legacies of dharma, in particular the epigenetic part, is that the child is not born a blank slate.
Well, I mean blank slate of his nature, meaning that no matter what you learn in your life to control yourself and your appetites and your predispositions, your child will have the same nature on day one that you had and has to learn it all over again. I'm a skeptic about epigenetic things, but maybe on the margins they have some effect.
Me too, and I think people are too enamored with it as
Yeah,
if it's biological, it's the truth.
yeah,
For me, as you know from knowing a little about me, is
yeah,
I focus on the biopsychosocial, cultural, political aspects.
yeah,
Uh, but the child is born in a sense to the child has no choice about what it is born into. Okay, so whatever the world, the family, the environment, the culture, etc., is uh, is proposing or confronting the child with, the child has to adapt to it.
yeah.
Uh,
And we have I think of it as channels almost. I sense my own nature switching channels depending on the situation that I'm in, and sometimes you sense the competitiveness and the aggressiveness and the vindictiveness, and sometimes you're struck with your own urge to be magnanimous and kind and forgiving, and these all exist in the same person, in probably in different genetic amounts, maybe in each person, and our challenge is to create some sort of society where we bring out keep people on the channel that we want them on as much as we can, and harness. Unfortunately, even the things that are negative are also harnessable for good, like capitalism and all the innovations, which of course are fueled by competitiveness and want and desire for glory and money and all that stuff, which brings us the wonders of medicine in a certain way. So it's very, very complicated, right? We'll know.
it is life
Yeah,
is very complex,
yeah,
and Hatem mentioned that he has he has attended some of our webinars, and they are all indeed multidimensional, multidisciplinary,
Yeah.
because life is complex.
Yeah.
And that's why our center is so careful not to, no, let me put it positively, to embrace all of the the whole multiplicity and dimensionality of the life we are looking at, we are examining. Absolutely.
I
Because, go ahead, please.
I feel like it reminds me a lot of the scene. I don't know if you saw the movie Shutter Island, when the guy was with him in the car and it's like it's human nature. You want to kill me, I want to kill you. That was a crazy movie. But I always have this thought, and I always, I'm sure you studied or thought about it for a while. I'm sure. Why is that part of the world have so much problems and
What do you
so
mean by that part of the world? I don't know any part of the world that doesn't have a problem today. Do you?
No, but I mean, I'm talking about the Middle East specifically, um, all the wars. And I understand, from my point of view, I know that all the wars started there. There's a major religions came from there, so there was always a religious war. There's always too many wars that happen, which can cause a lot of trauma, revenge, all that. But is there something specific about the nature, like psychologically, of the if somebody grew up there versus grew up somewhere else?
I I doubt it. Or
Okay.
at least let me put it this way. I never thought of it that way, actually. So the way you put it is, I'm sure it's worth examining.
Hmm.
But the Holocaust happened and many genocides happened in Europe, in Africa, in the everywhere. Actually, I don't want to show off knowing all of the that I know. Sorry, that I know all of the regions of the world, but I don't know a place that was free of abuse of power to use. But it's interesting that you put it down to religions that um,
Well, I think all the three major religions, came up from that area. So it creates a competitiveness. It can create enemy. Create nobody was like, oh, you're right, you're wrong. And there's the Holy Lands for all of them there as well. So it's something to fight over. And we know that, a lot of times the religious people that not really religious, but like that you want to use the religion will use the parts to fight for. So they motivate people to fight for that to get that part back and stuff like that. And that's why like crusades, all of that. So that's why I put religion. Not I feel religion for me at least is a very peaceful thing and it brings people together. That's me. That's how I see it, how I view it, how I learned it.
so do I. That's why I wasn't sure uh, where about your original characterization.
I mean,
But
go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I've kind of an answer to Hatem, but to me, there's two clear factors, and they both converging now on the Middle East. One, and this goes to the Europe example, is that dictatorships have a much bigger stomach for violence than democracies because dictators, like we're seeing it with Putin now. I just read yesterday, maybe 1 million Russians
that's
dead
right.
or injured in this quixotic notion of trying to take back some of Ukraine. The United States of America would have voted him out long ago if 1 million Americans died for such a fuzzy goal that nobody even knows really. This would not. So that's one, and every Middle Eastern state except for Israel is a dictatorship which does not respond to voters in any meaningful way. So Hamas is going to do what Hamas wants to do. And number two, and this is going to cut closer to home. Although Christianity at one time had a stomach for violence, Islam at this point in history is just more comfortable with violence, and this is without regard to the Arab-Israeli conflict. This is throughout the world there, with 500,000 in Syria and 1 million here and 500,000. So and somehow, and you and I have spoken about this, and I don't. It's opaque to me. You have better understanding, but somehow this radical Islam and martyrdom and glory in seeing people killed in again in quixotic ventures. Quixotic, I don't know if Hatem knows what quixotic. I mean, like they couldn't even imagine it's going to succeed, right? I mean, half of Gaza by a poll still supports October 7th, despite all the terrible destruction and with nothing accomplished, right? There's nothing accomplished, and yet they accept this. So this is just a disconnect at this point in history, and I'm very careful. I just want to say it again. It hasn't always been that way. As Yael points out, Europe was like that, not that long ago. In my father's lifetime, and I was born only shortly after that. Europe had just the same appetite in World War I and World War II for its own reasons for this kind of bloodshed. But right now, the Western world seems to have, the Western democratic world is not interested in that anymore. And
Yeah,
that's what we're
I'm
seeing,
sorry. I'm just
in my
gonna,
opinion.
yeah, I'll respond quickly, and then Dr. Daniela can touch on that. It's interesting that you say democracy don't do that, yet all the major atrocities happened by either the Holocaust or the atomic bombs or over and
I
over.
said I made the point
No, I
specifically
understand,
that they don't do that now.
but there were and are democracy back then and then, so that's not the reason. But let me
Which
just
one?
finish.
Who are you referring to?
The United States dropping the atomic bomb, you
Yeah, but
say
the United States didn't send 1 million of its own people to
no,
die on some notion
but I
so
think
easily.
but I think that's the main issue is like people dying, not your people, their people. It's
No,
people
no, no,
dying
Hatem,
in
it
war.
matters because it's easy to kill other people, even for democracies. We killed a lot of people in Iraq. What's harder to understand is when a single leader can send its own people to
And
go die.
other peoples. There were 10,000 North Koreans as well, for
Yeah, yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah.
But
So
let me
if
finish
Putin,
that
in
and
other
let
words,
me finish.
if Putin could kill a bunch of Ukrainians, I could understand the Russian people saying, "Who cares? They're Ukrainians." But Putin kills 1 million of his own people for a goal which he can't even really explain to his own people. But because it's not a democracy, he can get away with it. In a
All right, let me give you
democracy,
another
it's not easy to do that.
so
This is what Noam is actually saying is very relevant historically, just this minute. Uh, the Nuremberg trials focused in many ways on the crime of aggression, why one nation aggresses
no,
deliberately.
but yeah, but no, but when you put it
Right. Today, actually, right now is the 80th anniversary of the Nuremberg trials, where the law, and I'm speaking about international law now,
Hmm.
that Ben Ferencz, who was the last living close friend and the last living prosecutor of Nuremberg, spent the rest of his life fighting for legal recognition of the crime of aggression. Exactly that, right? That the head of state can decide to aggress against another state. And I actually, so because my focus is victims, I I actually included, and Noam, this is very interesting. We never discussed this before together, but I speak about victims of aggression not only as the victims, in this case, let's say Ukrainian victims, but also indeed the 1 million Russians,
Absolutely.
right, that the head of state decided to put out there to kill and to die.
yeah, yeah, let me just respond that back to
Please, because
yeah,
it's
no, because a
amazing
couple
to
of
me
things.
how relevant this
Yeah,
is. And you
because
speak to me as a psychologist, but this is really the reparative justice part
Yeah.
of me.
No, I feel like I want to answer another point, and then I'm gonna come to that quickly. When you say specifically Islam too, again, and when you talked about this, there's radical in every religion. You know, there's radical that in Christianity, in Judaism, in every religion, but yet you focus on, and if you take it by number, it's not gonna be the same, by the way, because if you take it percentage wise, and then when you say one leader will send their people to do this, what about the leader that will cause what happened, by actions that they do? Does count or not? And we're talking about democracies and people dying.
Hatem, no, I
Let
don't
me just
agree with
finish. Let
you.
me just finish this part.
Okay.
And you talk about leaders and democracy, yet you haven't talked about, right now what's happening in Gaza. All these people dying. Who's responsible? Is that it's okay for other people to say,
So,
yeah, we're gonna
all right,
take
let me
action?
answer. Let
Yeah.
me answer, and then I'll let Yael answer. So I understand this is a sensitive topic, and you know me well enough. There are extremes in every religion, extremes in every ideology, but for instance, this classic example where during the Iran-Iraq War, where the Iranians would use their own children as to sweep for landmines. Um, this is a kind of radicalism.
You make it sound like every child
Just let
in
me just let me
Iran.
finish. Just
The
let
way
me
you're saying
finish.
it is
No,
like,
no, even one child. That for a nation to have a policy based on a religious
again, I have to
just let
stop
me
you
finish. You
because
don't
it's
let me
not
finish.
correct. It's not based on religion. It's not a state policy.
Hatem, let him finish. So
Let
I
me
can
yeah.
also talk. I don't
Okay,
want to
okay. Let
also
me
Yeah.
finish. We'll
interrupt.
go. I can give you any number of examples of suicide bombing, whatever. You're handing out candies when your child of a manifestation of Islamic radicalism, which is totally foreign to me as a Jewish person, even though I hate the radicals in my own religion and I hate their chauvinism and I hate their violence. But on a whole, the I mean, you can just look at the way. Let's just presume Israel's in the wrong for this war. I'm not trying to make a point about Israel and it being right or wrong in Gaza, but the way Israel fights its war, in terms of its hyper concern for preserving the life of its own people, as opposed to the way Hamas fights its war, in terms of its almost hyper concern for making sure that its own people die in some way. This is a fundamental difference in the way a radicalism expresses itself. And I think your urge, which is a defensiveness, in my opinion, it's human as hell. I get it.
No, it's not
To try to
defensive. You
try to
comparing
try
a
to try to try to say that, well, it's all the same.
you
I
comparing a
I
terrorist
think I think
organization.
I just think it's not all the same. That's
You
all
could,
I'm saying. And for whatever reason, and now can we let y'all?
yes,
She's
yes,
not here,
but
and then
just
you do.
one
Yeah,
second. You
yeah,
comparing
yeah.
Israel to Hamas. This is terrorist organization, and this is a country. Compare a
No,
country
no,
to a
Hamas, no,
country.
Hamas is the elected leader of Gaza.
No, no, it's
Okay,
not elected. Go ahead, yeah, yeah,
may
go ahead.
Yeah, yes,
I?
please.
Uh, I think one thing is what you're not looking at is when radicals gain power and become the power.
Sure.
Okay? That's what we're talking about, really.
And,
So it's the
we are
radical.
talking. We're talking about.
That's what we're talking
No,
about.
he. I think Noam is adding the Islamic part to it, while I am the only.
Well, you went to the Middle East. There's no way not to talk about it. It's the
No, no, no.
majority
No, what
is
I'm saying,
Islam.
when you say is well, the Middle East. Funny that you said that because the Middle East is also Jewish and Christian more than
No, she's
Islam.
saying you brought up the
No,
Middle
no,
No,
no.
East.
that's what I'm saying.
Numerically, no,
No,
no. Numerically, it's simply so. It's not, that's not an argument. We can
what?
argue about many things, but numerically,
Yeah.
the whole Jewish people today in the world are around 15 million,
Okay. So
which is less than
so
we
okay. No, no,
were
that's
before the Nazi Holocaust.
no, that's great. Well, so when
So wait, so when you talk about numbers,
yes, because when you
don't make a
let me
mistake.
correct you on that.
And
Let me correct you on one thing
and
though.
many of those millions live in the United States,
All
not
right,
in
can I
Israel.
say something?
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
say we're talking about numbers, when you say a
I,
religion.
I actually don't think talking about numbers is going to lead us anywhere.
No, no, no. I'm not talking about numbers. I'm saying if there's a religion with a 1.7 billion and there's a radical of 5 million, let's say, that's a less than 1%, you know? So what I'm talking
See,
about is
that's
like,
why I'm saying it's when the radicals gain power,
thank you. So,
become the leaders.
okay,
That
so,
is
and
what
that,
matters. That's
yes,
why I interjected the aspect, the dimension of power here.
but which brings me to the first point, which is when a country with a leader, which is not Netanyahu, for example. I'm trying really not to get political, but just to the point where you say when you get your own people, when leaders of a country made their policy to get a terrorist organization as and help them and finance and let them get the money to gain power, that's against their own people. But anyway, I want
Many Israelis agree with you about that.
no, I totally. But anyway,
And I think that's part, and there are many amazing books now written. One I just ordered, something about when Israel slept.
yeah.
That I can't wait to read, actually. Yes, we are trying, the best of us and the worst of us are trying to understand what's
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just trying to make point, but so guide us through.
But I think making points is not going to neither numbers nor making points is going to lead us to really understand. It's a horrible tragedy.
So Hatem, let me ask you a question. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, what I was going to say is the people who were the leaders of peace with Gaza were the first one to be murdered, maimed, raped,
Yeah,
burnt.
yeah.
I think making points is not going to save us.
Yes.
So Hatem, let me ask you this question then, to take you at give you the benefit of the doubt. So in Israel, we know the Netanyahu and his coalition are in charge, and we know many people not in his coalition basically support the war, and then we know very well who the voices are who are 100% opposed to every aspect of his policies. They are a big thriving community. They have newspapers, they have TV shows, they have podcasts. We know who they are, and they hope to someday steer the ship. You say that Hamas is radical. They were not elected. Who in that part of the world represents the non-radical point of view that wants peace, two-state solution, the end of martyrdom, the end of jihad? Who are you referring to out of the 1.7 billion people, whatever that number is, that you want us to? Is it just theoretical? Does it exist? Can we read their newsletter, their Telegram channel? Can you give me the name of one or two of their leaders?
Sure,
You have
I'll give you countries.
1.7 billion people here.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
are they?
sure. You have Egypt, who already have a peace with Israel.
No. Who are the
Yeah,
leaders
I'm
who
telling.
are
I just told you the Egypt with all its leaders, United Arab
Egypt?
Emirates.
Hold on. Egypt put poison gas into the tunnels in Gaza. Is that who we're referring to? Egypt?
You know, every time I'm trying to answer something, you just try to, block. You told me the names of people that wants peace from the. So I told you
I'm gonna
Egypt,
say one more
United
thing, and I
Arab
will not
Emirates,
interrupt you anymore.
Saudi Arabia.
When the answer is
This is very
yeah.
interesting. This is again very interesting. We are all so passionate about it that we mix up dimensions.
Yeah.
The question that Noam asked, I actually heard it, is who is your next guest from the 1.7 million to be in the next podcast? And I would love to be a part of it. But you answered in terms of countries. Okay,
Because he gives an example.
so there is a disjunction here.
But this is so interesting because it's so not fair. He asked in the terms of a country. He said Netanyahu and Israel. So I said
I didn't
Sisi
ask
and
in terms of a
No,
Egypt.
country.
he didn't actually. He actually asked individually, and I love that because I
So
spoke about individual people. He answered them.
who did he say individually? Tell me. He said
No,
Netanyahu.
no. I'll say it again.
That's even today. See, again, when you say Israel, you have a totally different vision than I do. right? I listen I listen every day to the news in
Yeah,
Israel
I do
too.
too. I'm not sure what's
And some people,
I'm
and
confused
you
on
know that even yesterday there were very large demonstrations in Israel
yeah, I
exactly
know.
of the people who talk about, who agonize about that. And
I'm not I
even,
think we're
even
saying the same thing.
within the hostage community.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, well, no, because
Well,
I
but
don't,
I don't know what you say. You're saying that
because whenever you speak about Muslims, and you do too, you speak about this huge number, and I have a difficulty similar to Noam. I know some Palestinians who work very hard for peace. Okay? Women, great women, Palestinian women, who throughout this time were in touch with great Israeli women, both trying to keep the peace movement going. And it exists across the world. I mean, I will recommend a colleague of mine to whom we are going to give an award from Georgetown University, who organizes all these women working for peace all over the world. So so now in answer to your question, there are people. The question, but enter the power piece into this. The question is, would these great women be part of a peace process?
you know, I gotta know. I'm sorry. I agree that there's so many people, but you're not giving it the right, you're not giving it the right answer because you have the whole United Arab Emirates who is so perfect, like, and have great relationship with Israel. You have Saudi Arabia, you have Malaysia, you have Turkey, you have, you know,
Perfect.
so when you just down
Turkey.
it to a few people, it's so not fair. There's so many people that want peace in both parties, in Israel
Yes
and
and
in the
no.
world.
Yes and no. I think the Abraham Accord has hope in it.
Yeah.
It is an inspiring notion. Uh, but at the same time, that Turkey would like to have a key role in it. Last week it came out with an announcement of 37 people. 37 Israeli leaders. It would take it would put it in jail.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think
so,
the point
so
also,
no, Hatem. So the point is that there's nothing simple. You said it, Noam said it, I say it. There are so many competing dimensions and competing angles this is why it's called thorny, a thorny problem. It is.
yeah, there is so many competing. I agree with that, but there's also so
At the
many.
same time, yeah,
But there's
and
so many, you know, there's good and bad, and there's a lot of good that also compete. But when you try to, not you, but in general, when people try to build, like in even in this conversation, putting the word Islam in it, like it's the motivation, and yet you don't know a lot about it. When the religion itself says no, you
that's
cannot kill
right.
people and
That's
stuff like that,
right.
that's
People
wrong.
don't.
So that's
Yes, I agree with you that people in general, because they're so overwhelmed with the traumatic elements of what's going on, and so shocked, they don't have the mental peace to learn to see the difference between jihad and Islam, for
yeah.
example, right between ISIS and Islam. Uh, that takes that takes mental and soul
Yeah,
space to examine and to teach, and
and
we don't do enough teaching.
yeah.
Hata, no, I want to say something. I want to say something. I think
Can I
what you,
just
I think
say
I,
one last thing because when she mentioned ISIS and then you can go. I agree with you, and this is my point again: is the leaders of the world is letting an ISIS leader now becomes Syria president, and they letting him, and he's ISIS, and he's killer, and he's been, and now
all right,
they letting him, and then
all right,
years from now he's gonna do something, and they're gonna say Islamic people.
all right. Can I say something?
Wait, no. They attack the Druze people in
Yeah,
Syria.
yeah,
Absolutely.
All right,
yeah.
I
He's
can listen. I pray to God that he would remain a just man and become a great leader of his people, particularly because he's part of the
Yeah.
of the region.
Yeah.
But his people suffered enough. My God,
Yeah.
as Noam mentioned, at least 500,000 people were murdered.
Yeah.
I'd like to say something.
But I don't have magical the magical illusion that a person can change
Yeah. I agree with you.
from one end to another just like that. It takes work, and his own people. He has to educate his own people who first killed with him to become peace, democratic forces.
Can I say something?
Please.
Hatem and I are close friends, and I always worry when we get onto these conversations like neuralgic, like hitting the most sensitive nerves in a human psychology. But I'm going to say this to Hatem. I mean,
I'm going to stop you right this minute just to say that good friendship is where we share things.
yes.
The friendships die when we don't say things. Okay.
And sometimes when we do.
So particularly with me, you don't have to justify yourself.
All right. So no, I'm saying to Hatem. But anyway, let me make my point. What I'm about to say, I think, is fair. But even if you feel that what I'm about to say is not fair, I would say that life is fair. Life is unfair. And yet what I'm going to say is still going to make practical sense, even if you think it's not fair. I'm going to say the following. We as Jews, when we read the rationales behind the people who want to destroy us and kill us, they are all written as Islamic doctrine. If you read Hamas's charter, it's Islamic. If you listen to the Iranians, it's Islam commands it. If you listen to Hezbollah, it's Islam commands it. If you think, and you might be right, that this is all creates one mass misunderstanding of Islam, that actually this is just 5% of Islam that have the power, and 95% of the power, 95% of Islam vehemently opposes and is offended by this, then it is not on for you to criticize us for our lack of understanding of Islam. It is on you and the 95% to get your shit together and demonstrate to the world that 95% of us are against this. And then we as Jews will say, oh, you know what? This is some bastardization of Islam because 95% of Muslims disagree with it. But when the only thing we have to go on is that everybody who wants to kill us cites the Quran to justify it, don't then criticize us on top of it for not having a proper sociological understanding of Islam. Organize yourselves to demonstrate it. Show that you're offended, not just offended that we think it. Show us that you're offended that they think it. You're worried about the Jews thinking it? It's the Muslims who are thinking it and activating and killing people and forcing their own people to be killed because of it. Stop with us. We're the victims here.
No, you're not the victim.
There's no biblical doctrine saying go out and kill all the Arabs.
Okay, let me answer you, and then Dr. Yael can answer. Yeah. First, we live in a world where technology and information is so easy, and I feel not knowing is in purpose, not.
Oh, come on.
Not so. If 1.7 billion people are against you, they would have been in war with you, but they're not.
That's why I asked you where is because you avoid the. I asked you where is the newspaper, where is the website,
everywhere, and you know that.
Then give us a link right now. The website we can look to.
That I send you a link every day, but just
give us a link right now of the website or book.
Can I finish my answer? I didn't interrupt you. I'm so sorry, Dr. Yael. We're such good friends that we always yell, and he lies a lot, but it's fine.
It's not fair it's not fair that you say it exists but don't want to demonstrate it.
I feel very at home here.
Yeah, I know. It's very funny because there's three points that I want to do quickly. One is not everything Israel is doing is right. So there are some
That's correct.
justified resistance in terms of certain. Let me just
Don't
finish.
change. Don't change it. No, I'm not going to
No,
let
no.
you. Don't change the
You
subject.
say
Don't change the
why?
subject.
No. When you say why you hate us so much, I'm saying there's stuff that some people are justified to hate Israel. Like if somebody got has his daughter and son killed for no reason, of course they're gonna hate Israel.
You're
So this is
changing the
one point.
subject
I'm not changing the
drastically.
subject. No. You cannot be like, oh, why people? You just said why people hate us so much. There is some people that racist. There's some
That's
people
not
that
what I
anti-Semitic.
said. That's not
That
what I said.
can I just finish one point?
No, not if you're not. I'm
You
sorry. You
said
can't just. You can't just say
you
something I
just
didn't
said
say.
you just said why you hate us so much.
No, I said that the people who hate us, I just chose three examples, but there's more. I can include the Houthis. I can include. There's no end to it. But Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran, they explain their hatred and their goals purely in terms of Islam and jihad.
And
And
this is what I'm
you're saying that's a tiny fraction. And I'm saying if that is a tiny fraction, then then don't complain to us that we don't understand it. Where are the 95, 97, 99% of the Muslim world? Where is their website? Where is their
oh, they're
newspaper?
everywhere, but you just you know what?
Where is their leader? Where is their
You saying that
imam?
you
Where
saying
is their
that
imam that has 99% of them found that says this is a bastardization of Islam?
it's everybody else. It's
So
everybody
tell me
else.
who.
I told you a million people. I just told you
Give me
countries.
one.
I told you
Just
countries.
just give me
I
one
get you.
website,
I just
one
you
leader.
know what you doing this is so demeaning.
Okay,
Like
I'm
you
sorry. I'm
demeaning a
sorry.
whole culture that you know that bin fight. You think you're gonna get Bin Laden if you didn't have Muslims in the army and in the CIA and you think Israel doesn't have Muslims in their own army in the IDF? Let me finish, please, because this is what's very demeaning when you say like 1.7 billion love this. You don't know a lot
I
about
didn't
Islam.
say 1.7 love it.
Wait, you said where are they? They've been very loud. They've been acting, and actually, they've been fighting Hamas before you fought Hamas. They've been fighting Bin Laden before you fought Bin Laden. They've been fighting every terrorist before you fight every terrorist.
Not on behalf of Israel.
Let me just finish, please. And then when you say that Iran and Houthi and are Islamic, they're not. Islam is a religion that's very just any religion. All the religion, it's for peace. It's right there. You can read it and you can interpret it a certain way that you want or other. So it's very clear what it says. It's very simple. There's a code in Islam is if you kill one person, you kill everybody. So there is no. So you can say all you want. You could say that whereas the voice has been very loud and very hard and not very. But I really want to switch it off if I can because I really want to talk about the trauma. That's
Hatem, what is your vision of making of helping the situation become, I mean, turn into the peaceful?
Well, first thing is we have to understand and blame the right people. You have to understand when you blame a person that did this or a group that did this, is the group is not the religion.
That is happening both
Yeah.
ways, and
Yeah.
you have my total sympathy. I mean, every anti-Semite who hates either me or Noam without having met us ever, is doing just that.
Yeah. But
So be it a Christian, be it a Muslim, be it a Hindu, it doesn't matter.
I
But so we're really talking. So let's sort of shift because I think to talk about who hates more and how many more hate is probably worthy of study. But shouldn't we move also to talk about hope?
Yeah.
How do we? Because my first doctoral dissertation was on the psychology of hope.
Oh, okay.
And I chose it particularly, it was in the last century.
Yeah.
And I chose it in particular because I sort of didn't understand how we keep going as humanity.
No, I agree with you. And I know I'm no.
Wait, I want to finish. And so my only conclusion was sometime at like 3 a.m, one of the sleepless nights was hope. So I decided to study what is this hope thing. Okay, so I went to I was also teaching at Brooklyn College at the time. I was teaching psychology. And my disabled students interviewed disabled people. My divorced students interviewed divorced people, etc., etc. Some of my students went to bus stops and interviewed people who just missed a bus, which they thought ahead of time that would be the most minimal challenge to hope. And they, from these 2 hours, they learned fantastic psychology, that you can't make assumptions, okay? That sometimes you miss a bus and that's the end of your job, okay? Sometimes you miss a bus, it's the end of a marriage. So it might have been a bad marriage, but just the same, those seemingly nothings make huge impact. I took on Holocaust survivors, that new cancer diagnosed people who are expected to die. I'm not thinking straight now. And POWs, right? Prisoners of war. Those people that seem to have the most extreme challenge to hope. And what I learned from all of what my students studied and I studied was that hope, the simplest definition, is the awareness of optionality, not the awareness of options, right? Not like you say, bring me a person. You already know that. But just the notion that there might be a person who might help us.
Right.
You see what I mean? And those options might be magical, might be realistic, might be inside you, might be only from the outside. I have sort of a complex, that's what we like to do. We have complex theories out of that. But so let's take that definition of hope. I'm feeling young again.
Yeah.
And
I tell you,
and let's see. Look, the fact that we are talking is hopeful.
yeah. No, I am very.
It means that we believe that even if we scream at each other, even if we offend each other without meaning to, we believe that there is a way.
Yeah. No, I tell you, I personally, I always had hope. And I think one of the reasons is, and I always tell Noam that because I grew up there, so I know how people really feel, how people really call. And I'm always hopeful.
Where did you grow up, by the way?
Huh?
Where
Egypt.
did you grow up?
Egypt.
Kuwait and
Oh,
Egypt. Kuwait and Egypt.
our first peace party.
Yeah. I know that I know people want peace, but to your point when people have cancer and stuff, I had a near death experience, but and I know exactly, what you're talking about. And I feel like when you're close to death in a way, you become more not only hopeful, optimistic about the world, you see the beauty of the world, you see a lot of things, and I always been like that. So, and I think it's going to happen. It's just like I feel like we need to not fall into the trap of trying to separate people by anything, but bring them together. Is the problem is not this people or this pope or this people or this religion, this religion. It's the
Okay,
problem
so
is
let's
people.
ask it. So let's ask it as a not game, exercise, rehearsal. So here is you, here is me. No, and we really would like to have peace. And we would like to have not just peace, but sustainable peace, true peace, not only a peace that stops the killing for 1 week and have the hatred machine continue. So where do you see that at this point? I think the Trump administration is trying to, with all of its fault here, it is trying to create peace in the Middle East. At least the way they understand. Do you does it? Do you feel that? Do you feel that there is hope there?
Yeah, I feel there's hope not only with the Trump administration, but I think there's hope with a lot of the leaders had enough. I think a lot of the world have enough of what's going on, But I think to add to your point, is like to have peace and hate and all that, it has to also come with a definition of what the peace is, equal rights, uh, work together, love together, like there's not one that's better than the other. Like there's have a lot, but I feel, like I said, I feel there's so many countries in the Middle East has been for years now anti-Hamas and anti like you can't do this anymore. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, UAE, because you end up dragging your own people into it. So yeah, I do feel that there's so many people that wants it, and I feel like the people really want it too, from all of them, but it just have to be defined, but it will happen, and I think it will happen soon too, and sadly, usually after a big tragedy, stuff happens. That's good. So
I just wanted just to clean it up because it's the internet and it, lives forever. Very quickly that yes, of course, I know and you know that I know and I know that you know that I know that many Muslims fight in wars on behalf of America and want peace and all these things. I understand that. I know Muslims my whole life. None of them ever wanted to kill me, as far at least as far as I
well,
could
you
tell.
don't know that.
What I was
We
making,
failed. I planned for you. I failed.
yeah, I was making a much more significant point actually, which is
Yes,
only
yes.
to say that if Islam is as you say it is in general, that to put the onus upon the Israelis to understand that the people that are threatening to kill them, that are killing them, all around them, 100% of them all being justified in terms of Islam, that the Israelis are the ones who need to crack the books open and learn what Islam really is. Rather than as a practical matter, I said. That's why I said you may not think it's fair. I think it is fair, but if it's not fair, it's certainly practical to understand that the Israelis are not going to do that. It is up for the other 99%, the other 1.6.9 Muslims in the world to be out there saying, yes, Israel, we agree with you. This is a bastardization of Islam. We are on the same side of that issue. We may not be on the same side of issue of the Palestinian issue cause. Maybe we don't agree what the borders should be, but we definitely agree with you that this jihad is a bastardization of Islam. So it's just a practical matter. The only time you hear this anger about this subject is when the Jews have the nerve to believe that what they're being told from every side is actually Islam. Get your shit together. Give me a website that we can send people to.
There's
Show me an
millions of
imam.
them.
Show me an imam that has 100 million listeners who
See,
says these guys are wrong.
you again. You were doing great until you said, "Give me one website," knowing that there's million of
Well,
them. Give
I
me
can
one
give you 12.
imam.
I can give you
I
the.
can't give you an imam, but
There's
I
a
can
million of
give
them,
you.
and this.
I can, no, I can, and I would love to give you
No,
Send
I
it.
know.
some.
This is what I'm saying. This
But
part is.
wait, sorry.
I'm so sorry. Let me just say
But
one. One.
I can refer you to Haaretz. I can
Yeah,
refer you to 50 different rabbis. I can refer you to
I
Jewish
can.
organizations.
I
I
can
can refer you
refer
to
you
all
to
sorts of
millions.
Jews that
Yes.
disagree with Israel.
Yeah,
Show
and
me the Arabs.
I can
But
now.
that's
This is the degrading part when you say stuff like
Don't
that,
use
and
words like degrading. Don't use words like
no,
degrading.
because that there is millions of them, But I'm just gonna say one thing, and
not
then we move
only.
on. Let me just wait one second.
I think you're being unfair to Judaism and Islam by
Yeah,
forgetting that both Hezbollah and Hamas were uh, were named terrorist organizations
yeah,
by the world.
yeah. And
Okay?
by the and
So,
just one final point.
so there is a recognition of the difference between the radical beings, right, and the rest.
And one last point, and then I really want to ask a question about the trauma. Is
Go ahead.
Hamas, Iran, and all of them killed more Muslims than Jews. So We have the same enemy.
Absolutely, but you go back in the same in Iran.
Iran as well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it's part of extremist regimes.
So they're not against just Jews, they against anybody that have certain views, including Muslim. They killed more Muslims.
Right, so I'm trying to give sort of the angles.
So for people that don't know, and think that me and Noam hated each other, we're actually very good friends, and we talk all the time. And he, this is one of the things. If there's an attack in Palestine, he's the first one that calls me, vice versa. So my question regarding
sometimes I knew about it beforehand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know.
I had no idea what I'm joining here.
Yeah.
But I like it. So.
Dr. Daniela, so I understand that even though this is a very important conversation, and that's why we challenge each other in this, but regular people that don't know a lot about, so how do they deal with all this trauma, and how do they deal with
people? Before we go to that, let me just correct a possible misconception. I didn't mean to cut all of the passion and the storms of feelings that were expressed by pointing out to hope and to sort of shush it. No, there's a lot of grieving for us to do. There's a lot of rage for us to do. What worries me as a human being today is not only what's going on in the Middle East. I mean, we are suffused with rage everywhere. And I feel not just humbled, I feel with everything I've learned, I feel mystified. How come humanity has not yet organized itself to contain this rage in such a way that we don't end up killing all the time? Killing, right? Brutal stuff. So, Hatem, if you think it's only a matter of talking about trauma, yeah, we are near touching it, but
so I guess the right question is, how do we deal with it? Like you mentioned a lot of times.
No, it's like, how do we even understand it before we deal with it? Forget dealing with it. Right now, what we see is that the way to deal is to kill.
Yeah.
Or to
blame others,
And blame the other, absolutely.
Yeah.
We know all of the ways to push it away, yes.
Yeah.
But I am profoundly concerned.
Yeah.
The great and the mistrust that goes with that.
Yeah.
The mistrust among people. Because none of that leads to any goodness, any sense of individual peace, family peace, community peace, intergroup peace. It's extremely profoundly concerning.
Do you think the problem is the leaders?
I'm sure that leadership has a great role either way. Right? I remember after 9/11, I have 2 books I published after 9/11. And part of what I talked about in terms of leadership is the importance of empathic articulation, right? How important it is that leaders can speak for their people. Unfortunately, that ended up with killing too.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy?
Think about it.
Yeah.
And there's a whole field on leadership. So I totally agree with you. Leadership is extremely important.
And not just leadership, like in terms of president, but community leadership in every
absolutely. Every you know me, I think of every level. Yeah. I even think of the gossip of the community as a very important informal leader, or hairdresser, or nail pressing.
Yeah. I have a very important question for you. From
Please.
your experience, and talking Noam for a little bit, what is wrong with him?
What's wrong with the leader?
With Noam?
Oh,
With
with
me?
Can you analyze him for me a little bit? You know, he's like you want to hug him and kill him at the same time. Like, how'd you get to that?
Listen.
He is a big bear, and you want to hug him. It's true. But I think part of why you want to kill him is he challenges, and he's very articulate the way he does it. So he challenges, the way.
So,
Look, it's so difficult to be wholly rational about any of it. So
yeah.
Look,
let
look,
me ask you this. I had a
can I tell you something?
yeah, and I would lose my license if I had diagnosed after 20 minutes. Anyway.
yeah, you can't, not allowed to. I'll tell you, Hatem, I was thinking, I gave you my entire ordered thinking in on one foot, which is that so the listeners understand, and Yael understands where I come from. I do think that the load-bearing problem of this whole issue is the Palestinian rejection of Israel. That the day this goes back to the 20s.
It wasn't just the Palestinian. That was the whole Arab world.
Yeah, just the Arab world, the Palestinian. In other words, the day that they decide.
It was the whole Arab world.
Yeah, the whole Arab world. But the day that that they decided they wanted a two-state solution side by side with Israel,
The United Nations decided.
Wait, let me just.
No.
No, I want to lay it out.
The United Nations is extremely important here.
No,
so
I'm just leading
up.
up.
Only extremely important now, but not for anything else.
I just want to say the bullet points of my view. So I blame them for even to this day for the rejection of the thing. Until psychologically they decide they want it, it's never going to happen. Number one. Number two, I think it's clear that, and now it's clearly been demonstrated after October 7th, that the threat of Hezbollah, Iran, and Hamas all growing with technology, this was not acceptable for Israel to live under. It's a good thing they're destroyed because actually, if only Iran and Hezbollah had joined in on October 7th, they might have won. This is how close to the edge Israel allowed itself to become existentially. But number three is, this may make you feel better, having said all that, I don't know that the way they fought the war was as humanely as it could have been. I don't know that they couldn't have fought it give fewer Palestinians. I don't know to what extent their rage led them to decisions that they should be ashamed of. I cannot give them a blank check for how they executed the war. We'll know more as history unfolds and we have more information about what went on. But on that one issue, I might actually agree with you. But on everything that comes before, why there had to be a war, and the fact that Israel had to address this threat, that to leave Iran standing and Hezbollah standing and Hamas standing was incompatible with responsible leadership. Yes, I agree with Israel on that. And just to say it again, that does not mean that how they did it was moral or humane or the least killed as few people as they had to. And that's where I think you and I, that's how we can salvage our relationship, because I'm not going to give a blank check to Israel. I don't have the facts, but that they had to do it. Yes, I have not heard a single argument yet that could persuade me even a little bit that no, Israel should have just kicked the can down the road and lived this way for another 10, 20 years. It'll all work out. That seemed ridiculous to me. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Let's remember.
That's why you can hug me.
Yeah, and let's remember when Iran was firing missiles on Israel. Jordan also intercepted some of the missiles.
Yeah, well, thank God the Arab world also hates Iran and is worried about Iran.
So there is time that we were together. So not all.
Yeah, but don't. They were together because they're together because UAE, for instance, they have all that. They don't want Iran. The day that Iran's not a threat, the Abraham Accords are tenuous.
But what I'm saying is, like, there was some also intelligence coming to the United Nation part. It's very interesting when you said the United Nation is very important in 1948, but yet every resolution the United Nation did against Israel, people are like, oh, who cares about the United Nation?
Yes,
But,
yes,
but
that is to be taken another time, but the UN has a role to play.
yeah.
Had a role to play throughout.
So I want to ask you something.
Wait. And I think the one thing that we didn't say, and that's very important for me to say, the Jewish people survived away from Canaan or Israel or Jerusalem as their heart and soul, with the total understanding that they're going back home, that it is their home. And and after the Shoah, after the Holocaust, indeed, the feeling was it might be the only home, the only safe home. So part of the issue still today is that there are people who don't understand that there are two indigenous people in that area. And actually, there must be a living, livable, sustainable solution. There must be. It's not a question. So when I see all the demonstrations from the river to the sea, my heart sort of drops to the ground, not only because of the wrongness of it in general and all the implications those who scream it don't even understand. But they don't understand the main challenge, which is how do people live together. That's the challenge, how to live together, not who should be right to kill everybody else.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Noam's point about the how, of course, that matters totally. But this is still the challenge. And we can't escape from the challenge by demonstration, by screaming, by wearing this, by wearing that, by it leaves the problem alive rather than.
What's the solution in your opinion?
To start with the people who have been committed to peace, to do understand each other's, and I mean understand each other's pain and each other's losses and each other's misunderstandings and the origins of the misunderstandings. To remember, don't forget the one thing, Noam, I was hoping you'd say that before. In Judaism, when you say what is Judaism on one foot, it's love your neighbor as thy love yourself.
Right.
So
It's not that religious.
I still don't know a better answer.
Yeah.
And when I say it, you can't impose love on anybody. But everything that goes with, remember, they're human being, just like you're a human being.
Yeah.
They have hopes and they have fears and they have loves and they have,
I always say this, and I always use her as an example when you say like feel the suffering of people. We interviewed in this show Rachel Goldberg, the mom of one of the hostages.
Yes, she's amazing.
Yeah,
she
and we interviewed
her. I love her.
Yeah, and she was so amazing, and she managed to she made the same point. Is like my suffering now is the same as suffering as a mother in Gaza.
Exactly, and these are the people. So when you say no, so you already met some of them. In fact, I want in public for you to promise me that you'll introduce me to some of these people so we can have a webinar.
They don't like Noam, they like me.
Both of you, Hatem, you're the one who wrote to me. So here it is. You please introduce us so that we can have a webinar of, for mothers or for fathers or for children who lost, right? The way we do our webinars, indeed. And we can call it the Peace Series.
Yeah.
And we can do it together with you. So we don't, okay, so we can become an additional voice for peace.
Yeah, no, of course.
Okay, so you agree, please? You give me your word. I have your email.
Yes, and I give you notes.
Okay.
Of course.
Because if you interviewed
No.
Rachel, she is one of God's gift to humanity.
She really is. And to know, as Noam might come out, attacking all this, he interviewed more Arabs and Muslims and people that want peace and people that disagree with him than anybody,
Really? I
Yeah,
know. So we must do something together.
really
I'd be happy to do anything and participate with you in anything that I can be of help. Yeah, well, yeah, of course, Hatem. I've never found. I understand this. Many people are not like this, but to me, yes, a
Yes,
suffering.
but not like this. What's this?
Well, I'm going to say is that to me, even when he knows this before October 7th, when, for instance, when there'd be something when many Palestinians would die, we have a friend in common, Mustafa. I understand that there's a political argument to be had over why this happened, should it have happened, could have been avoided, and then there is just the pure human emotion. My people are dying, my loved ones, the people I care about, and this is crucial for practical
Absolutely.
reasons. It's for everybody to understand. But this is something that that I've always is at the top of my mind. That's why and so for me, yes. But when you see people dying in Gaza, my first thought is always, maybe this is selfish, is like, did they have to? I mean, I'm not naive to say, well, anybody dies in war, therefore the war was wrong. I'm not an idiot. That's not the way the world works. But I also know that I know Israelis, and I assume they're not that much better than other human beings. And I know what people are like when after their people have been massacred, and I know how you get used to things over time. That, like I always say, that the nurse, the first day on the first day on the job, when the patient cries for his pain medicine, the nurse immediately runs to help the suffering patient. 2 years into the job, the nurse says, "Let me just finish. I'm on the last level of the video game, because they get used to the suffering. And in war, it scares the shit out of me. Is that the people in charge, the soldiers, they get used to the killing, they get used to the suffering. 50 people died seems like a lot. The difference between 60,000 and 60,000 and 50 seems like nothing. And these are all we started by talking about
No, I mean, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The only way people can kill each other, and not just in war, is by dehumanizing
That's right.
the other person as if they're not people.
Yeah.
Okay.
To live with themselves.
Right. So it's
Yes.
really, so this is something.
It's frightening. It's frightening.
That's correct.
And that's why a lot of times, and again, I'm not trying to, but when you say the problem is, I'm not saying you, I'm saying people. The problem is Islam. The problem is Palestinian. And the problem is that now they become a threat. They're not human anymore. They're less.
Yes.
That's right.
And then they go for it. And that's why I try to, as much as possible, it's like they don't represent this. Actually, they kill more Muslims than. There was a siege on Mecca, the most holy place in the world. Some Muslims went in and took Mecca and killed everybody. it's insane.
Guys, I have a doctor calling me. I'm sorry, I got to take the call.
Yeah, no problem.
Tell him to give you only good news.
So, how is, what do you suggest, beside obviously joining your webinars for people, which we'll talk about at the end?
Well, we're actually working together. There is no way. We can't go to sleep on this.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not going to work. That's not going to bring peace.
Yeah.
We don't want to kill each other.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
We actually want to build a place where, to build a space where we can actually love each other safely.
Yeah. And I think one of the major thing is also to hold people responsible who did a crime. I think be fair.
Absolutely. That's
Justice
why I
have to
kept
be,
bringing the justice in,
yeah.
right?
Anyone that committed a war crime or in anywhere not must be, you cannot reward them and make them president of Syria. You cannot do that. You have to be able to bring justice to the people that suffered and died for it. After the war, after everyone, must be investigation.
Hatem, you said that, and then you mentioned the president of Syria,
Yeah.
uh, who chances are will never be brought to justice.
Yeah, but this is my point that I was trying to make in the beginning when you say leaders send their own people to die. I was like, how about leaders that allowed others to become leaders and kill everybody? They also are part of it.
On
So
the other hand, there was Rabin who was murdered
yeah, no, but I'm saying like
for
if
his
we,
love of peace, who said the only people who can make peace are people who were at war.
yeah, and was killed by radical. You didn't hear me say
That's
everybody's
right.
radical Jewish. No, but
That's
my point is
correct.
like what the
Are you
president.
okay, Noam? Oh,
I'm
good,
okay. I'm okay.
good,
Yes,
good.
yes.
Yeah, my only point with the president of Syria is like to allow him to become president by the democracies of the world, knowing where he come from and what he did. 10 years from now, he's going to do the exact same thing, and he's going to be Saddam Hussein or going to be,
We don't know. We don't know.
we
Maybe,
know because of what he did. If
maybe
you,
in his person he contains. Uh, he. You remember I spoke about Freud before about Eros and Thanatos, right? Love and destruction or hate. Maybe the balance inside him will remain.
however, justice needs to be served, and like we said, if he did something, which he did, he needs to be held accountable for it. All right, last question. I have.
Meanwhile, he needs to make sure that the people who are under his command will come with him
Yeah,
to a democratic
yeah.
space rather than remain committed to killing.
Um, I have one last question. I don't know if Noam have another question, but I have a friend of mine, Nathan Sash, was in a show last week.
Sex.
Sax, and he is amazing, and he told me something. We were talking about the mayor of New York, and he told me, and he's one of the people that I really trust when he says stuff like that. He said that he have a lot of relatives that live in New York that truly afraid of the rise of anti-Semitic Semitism with with all the things going on when with Mamdani getting elected and all that. Where do you see that, and how do you advise people to fight against it and deal with it
Uh,
in New York
like
City?
everything else, you have to keep observing and not go to sleep, right? So first of all, don't go to sleep.
Oh, you want
Uh,
me to you want me to
And
stay up?
don't cling to the magical illusion that everything will be okay now because life and reality and humanity have a way of messing it up. So watch out. Not watch out like a porcupine and attack, attack as vindictively ahead of time. But watch out. Remain on your grounds, keep your ground steady so you don't just wave in the wind, in the vindictive wind or in the, utopian wind.
Yeah,
Take him at his word, see if in fact he fulfills his promises.
yeah,
What he calls his mandate, these are promises to people. I don't necessarily believe that they are realistic, all of them, for a mandate for 4 years or 8 years. But let's see. I also believe in wonderful things that might happen
yeah.
uh,
Hope.
that I can't predict, and I hope for them. Um, But only living in fear is also is going to only make you miserable, your children miserable, your environment miserable. So find a place between. Don't go to sleep on this and magically hope for a better world. Be realistic. Take responsibility for your behavior.
Yeah.
Everybody. And watch out for those people who are going to use his mayorship to hurt other people.
Yeah.
Because they are those. You saw them already, you know that. But don't just go into a little hole, hope for 4 years to go by, give up your life for 4 years, or go kill people for 4 years. That's not going to help.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be easy, but what is easy? I never understood this easy thing that people want. So
Yeah.
Noam?
I hope
Mamdani?
Yeah.
My feeling about Mamdani is that I mean, in a broader sense, we're seeing a worldwide reversion to the mean of attitudes, acceptance, low-level ambient anti-Semitism, which I think was almost historically inevitable as the gravitational force of the Holocaust became a distant, old black and white movie. And this is, of course, it's irritated and exacerbated by the occupation and people's paper thin understanding of why that part of why the West Bank is occupied and this notion of apartheid and all this stuff. This is both causative and a result of the latent attitudes about Jews. Both it's hastened by the fact that there are these apparent injustices, and also these apparent injustices are much more important to people than they are, even though injustices go on all over the world, because they have existing attitudes about Jews that are being awakened. And Mamdani is a symptom of this, that he would be elected despite these kind of associations and things that he said. Having said all that, I'm not panicking. This is still New York City, and the mayor is not any kind of dictator that can call out the police or order crystal knocks. Or not that I'm saying he would, but I'm saying like this is still New York City, and part of it is just a weird turn of events where Cuomo seemed to be a shoo-in. No other substantial candidate chose to run against Cuomo because it seemed like there was nobody any chance. Cuomo really was just absolutely awful and self-destructed for everybody to see. And Mamdani was a sunny disposition, looked like fresh and harmless. And I think it's going to be okay. I'm more concerned economically, actually, but I think that'll be okay
But
as
that's what
well.
I mean by the
Yeah.
fulfilling the mandate.
Yeah.
His promises are economical.
Yeah, but even the mayor on economics doesn't have that much. Doesn't
No.
have not a magic. Does not have a magic wand. But for instance, if they make the buses free, the buses are gonna look like homeless shelters. Obviously, is that gonna be the end of New York? No, it's not gonna be pleasant. It's not gonna be the end of New York. If the police stand down, we're going to see recurrences of things we've seen in the past in terms of liberal mayors controlling the police. We're going to see certain things. The notion that government can solve all our problems, no matter how small, he really said that. This is so infantile. It's astounding that somebody was elected to be mayor saying such things, but he's going to learn.
Yeah.
Listen, I always say Senator Obama said A, B, C. And then President Obama was killing people in their tents with drones, So when you're sitting behind the desk and you realize what's really going on, you tend to move to the middle. I think even Mamdani may do the same. Let's hope.
I feel Mamdani is kind of like Trump first term. He focused in a great campaign and then he won and like, oh shit, now what? I have no idea what's going on.
Let's see.
So I think it's gonna be
That's
like that.
I'm waiting.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I think hope is is what we learned from here today.
Keep hope alive, Jesse Jackson said. Keep hope alive.
Yes, and I'm going to, don't forget to, when you email me, Hatem, include Noam's email also.
Oh,
Will
please.
do. Yes,
So
will
we
do.
can plan this peacemaking
Yeah.
series.
And can I finish something a little bit shallow?
Absolutely.
I have to go. I have to go. Go ahead,
Yeah,
real quick.
I'm just gonna say, I know it sounds like crazy, but well, I had a heart transplant, and when you're dying at some point and you're waiting for a heart, you don't care if it's Muslim, Jewish, or Christian. It's just human. That's all they gave you, and that's
That's
all you
right.
care about.
That's
Uh,
right.
and when somebody come to the yeah, and I have a rabbi come to pray for
First of
me.
all, I really want to know what happened to you.
Yeah,
Second of all, you can't recommend that. You can't prescribe that to everybody.
oh no, but I'm saying is like when it really matters, when you care about is human. And
Exactly.
even a rabbi came to me. I was like, "Do you want to pray?" I was like, "Sure." Let's hope he's going to listen to you. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
But you know, there's a field in the trauma field. There's a legitimate field itself.
yeah,
We call traumatic growth, which
I
is
have
exactly what you're describing.
yeah.
I have to go. My daughter is texting me that nobody's picked her up from school. I was
Oh,
supposed to be out by
okay.
2:30.
Thank you.
But wait,
Give her a hug for me.
yeah. Are you in America or Israel?
Both. Oh
No,
no,
now.
I'm in New York City.
Oh, so like I said, so yeah, let's introduce. Let's all have dinner together. I'll take you out Israeli folk dancing. But no,
Okay.
I would love to meet you in person. And Hatem and I get together all the time.
Same here. Same with you, Hatem.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take
Okay.
care, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Live from America podcast. Yael, if somebody want to follow you or attend your webinar, what's your website or people can follow you?
It's of course HTTP www.ICM for multi, G for generational, L legacies, T for trauma,
Okay.
.org.
I'll have the link in the description of this episode so people
Oh,
can
that's
follow it as well.
marvelous. That's
All right.
marvelous. And thank you so much for mentioning our webinars. We work so hard to make them the best and contributing to what we both of us really
No, I really
pray
enjoy
and
it.
hope for.
Yeah, and I advise everybody. Thank you very much.